Yes, it is great to be here again. Thank you so much for joining us. And Chris, the big news this week in property is that the banks have dropped investor rates. So what does this mean for your mum and dad investors?
So there's a lot going on in this space basically, and both prospective and current investors really need to be paying attention, because if they don't, they'll end up getting ripped off. So what's been happening just in the last month alone, 38 Australian lenders have dropped their investor mortgage rates, and that's a lot. They're dropping them by up to 100 basis points. So in plain English, that's about 1%. Well, it's exactly 1% actually. But the point is that makes a really big difference across a big hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of mortgage. Now, usually the caveat on all this is that the big banks, the ones that most of us bank with, aren't doing it. Right. That's not the case this time. The big banks are actually dropping their rates. Now, we can have a look at the averages across the big four. We're seeing that it's about a 3.65% right now. That's quite low. Historically, it's about as low as it's ever been. So you can see why all of these people are rushing into the property market to invest, because the banks are basically falling over each other to get it. Now, it's also important to say that the non-bank lenders, which fewer of us borrow with, they actually have even tighter, lower mortgage rates. You can see some of those that you might not recognise the name of, even around the 3.2%. So that is quite low. And it's important to know that you can shop around, because I know the average out there for investors is about 4.3%. Basically, if you're paying anything more than 4%, you're getting ripped off, and you should probably pick up the phone and hassle your banker.
Oh, they're going to love you saying that Monday morning. The phones are going to be ringing hot, aren't they?
They can handle it, right?
The other news was, of course, that unemployment figures have risen.
Yeah.
Now, these two, do they go hand in hand? How does that even correlate to home loans?
Well, it does a bit. It ends up filtering down into the cash rate, what the RBA does, and that's what we're talking about with regard to mortgage rates, what we all pay. So it was 5.2%, the unemployment rate in Australia, and now it's 5.3%. So not a tremendous rise there, but I think basically there are two sides to this coin. The first one, things aren't so great. The messages coming out of the labour market aren't so good right now, and we are a bit worried about our job security. But because the Reserve Bank has already cut interest rates twice recently, they're expected to do it another 2 times perhaps by the end of the year. So the cash rate's going to come down, mortgage rates might come down. So people with a home loan, they're probably going to be feeling pretty okay about all this, I think.
So just keep watching this space?
Pretty much. I think that's right, yeah. Keep watching this space. Make sure you're on a good deal. And look, watch what the RBA does over the next couple of months. We'll be covering that for sure. So
they're trying their best, obviously, to stimulate the economy. We've just got to take the leap.
They are. They're really trying their best. The government might have some more stuff to say about this in the future too, so they're ones to watch as well. All
right. Well, it hasn't really stopped the slowing of auctions across the country. Let's go state by state to our auction breakdown, and today is a busy day.
Is it ever? There's something like 1,664 auctions around the country. Looking at Melbourne, really leading the way as usual, 919 auctions. That is the biggest auction day of the year, followed by Sydney, 537 auctions. Brisbane is up this week to 84. A busy weekend in Adelaide too with 69, and Perth bringing up the rear with 18.
We're thinking that might slow next week with the grand final on and things, so this weekend might be a bumper.
That's right, exactly. Trying to get in before the grand final, see what happens there.
There's a lot going on.